International commerce relies on documentation that fulfills the criterion and the regulations set by the country of origin and the destination country. International trade attaches so great importance to shipping documents that, to a certain degree, it can be called trade of documents or symbolic trade. This is because shipping documents represent the title to the goods. Accurate documentation is one of the most important elements in international logistics and custom clearance. Properly completed documentation will help your shipment reach its international destination on time and reduce the risk of it being delayed at customs. Shipping documents are involved in the export and import of goods. The type of documents needed usually depend on the type of goods and the income terms that applies. In many cases, the documentation may also vary depending on the country of origin or destination. Be prepared in a particular way to comply with the requirements of the import or export country. Here are some major shipping documents. Pro forma invoice. The pro forma invoice is an exclusively informative invoice that is primarily used in foreign trade. Pro forma is a Latin term meaning for the sake of form. The pro forma invoice should be used by the seller to quote at the beginning of an export transaction, and it will eventually become the final commercial invoice used when goods are cleared through customs in the importing country. The pro forma invoice is an invoice that does not require any payment on the recipient's part. Instead, the document is created for the sake of form to comply with legal requirements. Commercial transactions with non-EU countries are subject to mandatory declaration. In such cases, a pro forma invoice is issued instead of a commercial invoice for customs purposes. This only declares the value of the exported goods and therefore has a purely informative function. In addition, the pro forma invoice is used as an advanced copy of a commercial invoice. For example, if the recipient pays in advance, in this special case, the pro forma invoice serves as a payment request. Pro forma invoices are also used for transactions proceed by letters of credit or as a prerequisite for issuing import licenses. The pro forma invoice is then similar to an offer. Commercial invoice. Any international transaction that involves importing, exporting goods must come with a proof of sale known as the commercial invoice. It is the foundation for all other international shipping documents. In the buyer's country, it is the document that is used by their customs officials to assess import duties and taxes. The Customs Clearance Department will ask for this document first, as it contains information about the order, including details such as description, selling price, quantity, packaging costs, weight or volume of the goods to determine customs import value at the destination port, freight insurance, terms of delivery and payment, etc. A customs representative will match this information with the order and decide whether to clear this for forwarding or not. Commercial invoices are often used by governments to determine the true value of goods when assessing customs duties. Governments that use the commercial invoice to control imports will often specify its form, content, number of copies, language to be used, and other characteristics. Packing list. The export packing list provides the exporter, international freight forwarder, and ultimate consignee with information about your shipment, the packing details, and the marks and the numbers noted on the outside of the boxes. Considerably more detailed and informative than a standard domestic packing list. An export packing list lists the seller, buyer, shipper, invoice number, date of shipment, mode of transport, carrier, and itemized quantity, description, the type of packaging, such as a box, crate, drum, or carton, the quantity of packages, total net and gross weight in kilograms, package marks and the dimensions, if appropriate. It's also used as a supporting document in the event of a dispute between the carrier and the exporter regarding the measurement and the weight of the cargo. The shipping company may use it to create the bill of lading. The banks may also require it to be included in the documents for payment under a letter of credit. Commercial invoice and packing list are mandatory for all types of international transport. Even though the information listed on the commercial invoice may be very similar to that of the packing list, you will still need to submit both documents, and the information on both must correspond. Do not confuse the two, as they serve different purposes. Certificate of Origin. Sometimes referred to as CO, it is an important document which states the origin of the exported commodity and serves as a declaration by the exporter. Nearly every country in the world considers the origin of the imported goods when determining the duty that will be applied. In some cases, the country of origin may impact whether or not the goods can be legally imported. The CO and the GSP Form A are forms required by customs to calculate duties and taxes. The GSP, the Generalized System of Preferences, is a preferential tariff system that developed countries intend to developing countries. The motive behind granting GSPs is to help developing countries, and particularly least developed countries, LDCs, to promote productive capacity development and to encourage trade and investment. So, GSP Form A is a special certificate of origin which needs to be presented to the importing country's custom in order to be benefited from reduced tariff rates under GSP schemes. If the goods are subject to any GSP regime, Form A is needed to complete. Inspection certificate. Some of the goods that might need an inspection certificate include perishable items and industrial equipment, among others. An inspection certificate certifies the conformity of those goods to terms stated in a sales contract. It ensures that the quality, quantity, import eligibility, price of goods for customs purposes, and the tariff classifications are appropriately met. An inspection certificate is issued by the manufacturer, chambers of commerce, surveyors, or government institutions after conducting a related inspection, usually immediately prior to shipment, thus otherwise referred to as a pre-shipment inspection certificate. It should be noted that not all certificates of inspections are the same. There are different types of inspections available, and therefore the tests and the reports vary from one inspection to the other. By and large, many of these documents contain the same information: buyer, seller, merchandise details, etc. But each document plays a different role, and it is important to not only make sure that the information written on each document is accurate, but that it's consistent across all the documents. In addition to these shipping documents stated above, there is another document which is regarded as the most important shipping document in international trade, that is, Bill of Lading. Next lecture will provide you an in-depth look at the bill of lading, about what it is, when it is used, and the vital information that should be noted. See you next time.